I gotta say, we have 20 people signed up. It's actually one of the biggest lunch and learns that we have
Awesome.
RSVPs for.
This is what you were talking about is the culture at Autism Tree, where we want everyone on the spectrum to live their best lives, and you guys always have been. So this is fantastic.
Well, Garrett was 8 years old when I first met him.
Oh my gosh, Sandy. How old do you think? Let's figure it out. Hi, everybody. Figuring out how old Erik would have been if my son was 8. How old was Erik? I'll tell you how old Garrett is today. Garrett's 23. So how do we do this math problem?
Well, I'm 34 going on 13.
I love that.
I don't know. It was a program you were doing at San Diego State, and I think that's where I first met him over there.
With lacrosse.
Lacrosse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was 2008. Okay. So Erik, how old were you in 2008?
Well, I would have been let's see, I would have been 19.
Something like that.
Okay.
Because you had finished Point Loma Nazarene, and you were going to start to go.
No. I finished Point Loma in 2009.
Yeah, but you had already started college.
For everyone on here, we're talking about how old. I'm trying to figure out how old was Erik when we first met him at Autism Tree. Erik, how old are you right now?
34 going on 13.
I love that. So he was 19. Does that math add up? Because was that 20 years ago? No, because
something like that.
We met in 2008. We figured that out at a San Diego State lacrosse event. We used to have a partnership with the coach of San Diego State lacrosse team, which was Matt Holman. And so that was 2008. Erik was 19 years old at the time when we started our relationship together, as Erik being part of the Autism Tree family. So that's very fun history. And of course I remember.
Well, and when we finally succeeded in getting Department of Rehabilitation to get on board with helping kids with ASD with tuition assistance, I said to Garrett, okay, he was still in high school, and I said, I expect you to go to college and then beyond now. Okay, Garrett, you're really smart. I know you are. You can do this.
Oh, I remember that too, Sandy. Thank you for all the encouragement, you guys. It means a lot.
I'd like to see ATPF partner with an obstacle course race.
What did you say, Erik? What did you just say?
I'd like to see ATPF partner with an obstacle course race.
Oh, okay. Well, everything's possible at Autism Tree. That's what I really feel like. I think anybody who's been around a long time, it has been my 100% commitment and focus for 20 years that if we can open a door that is going to serve one of our families and potentially open up a whole new opportunity, create a better life for even one child, we do it. And if you look at all of our 20 programs, Erik, that's why we do it. The only real requirement is that the person is rock solid. If you look at our partnerships, there's always a liaison, and that person is an A-team player and has the heart connection. I would say they got to be solid in their capabilities and their resume, whatever, but they also have to have the heart connection and the love for our community. But I would love to see that happen. If you want to make that happen, I welcome it.
Yes, it's like SeaWorld's Captain Kids World on steroids. It's a lot of fun. I got into Spartan racing after 2020. So how that happened was I was playing a game of catch gone wrong, and the football hit the left ring finger and snapped it. Avulsion fracture, a tendon ripped a piece of bone off, and so I had to splint it up for about 6 or 8 weeks, and I came up with this goal for myself to get into Spartan racing. That was the incentive to be patient with the hand recovery, because I got to grab stuff, and climb up things. And one of my mom's favorite things to watch me climb up is either the vertical cargo net or
Yeah.
the A-frame, because it reminds her of the nets at Captain Kidd's World. And she breaks out, she has
I
broken out into
cried.
tears when she sees me do that stuff.
Well, if you guys are okay, I'm gonna
Yep.
put it on pause for 1 second and go to our normal format and pass it over to Rebecca to get things going. But I just want to say, it melts my heart seeing you. I have so many memories over the years with Erik and Sandy, and we'll all learn so much from them. They always are one of our most valuable resources, honestly, because they've been on the journey a really long time, and we continue to learn so much from them. So it's going to be an exciting lunch and learn, but we'll turn it over to Rebecca to get things started.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody for being here too.
I saw a chat come up about from
Joey
Joey
from Second Recess, one of the
He
kids,
coaches a nonprofit.
he said to say hi. He is autism. He
Okay.
adores us.
Okay, thanks you guys. We're so excited to get started. Let me just share my screen. Hold on 1 sec. Okay. Hold on, sorry for the, sometimes it's,
Well, that's technology.
that's technology, you never know. Okay, here we go. This.
She has to get the invocation first. That's what she's doing.
The invocation.
Like a NASCAR.
Okay, here we go. So welcome everybody. A couple Zoom rules before we get started. Please mute yourself if you're not speaking. We recommend speaker view for presentation. Video sharing is optional, though we love to see all your smiling faces. This is our time to really connect every single week. And we really encourage engagement, so you can type things into the chat, ask questions, and any comments or anything. I'll read them as well. We'll have a Q&A at the end where you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask our special guest speakers a question. So a quick update from Autism Tree. Since January 1st of this year, we've already had 418 brand new families who have filled out our intake form. Yeah, so it's been incredible. This is actually 70%, 75% of what we did all of last year. We're already at the July marker. So we still have the next half of the year to go. And we're going to set records for our intakes this year. So welcome if you're a new family. Welcome to Autism Tree. We offer 19 programs. 13 are in person, 3 are hybrid, 3 are virtual. We have 16 upcoming events, family events that the whole family is welcome to come to during the month of July. You can check on our social media for announcements as well if we post new events. We also, if any of our programs are completely free to attend, all you have to do is RSVP online via our website. And you are good to go. Our events this week that we have are our virtual parent happy hour, which will be this Friday, July 7th at 6 p.m. on Zoom. I love that time to connect with new parents. And it's just parents getting to know each other and sharing resources, sharing information about their kids or whatever you'd like to talk about. And then we have our Autism Tree Project Sunshine Here to Play workshop, which is super fun at the North Community University Library, which is in La Jolla. That'll be for an hour from 10 a.m. this Saturday. And then our adaptive dance classes, which happen every single week. This week we have ages 11 through 18. This is at Tap Fever Studios in Pacific Beach at noon. So those are really fun to participate in too. We have 529 videos on our YouTube channel already. We started this during the pandemic, and we have a huge resource library. 120 of three of these lunch and learns are recorded and uploaded on our YouTube channel that you can go back and check out anytime. We love every single guest speaker, and they each have so much a part of history of Autism Tree. And so we're very, very, very grateful to have Erik Weber as our special guest speaker today. And as you can see, you've met a little bit, you've heard a little bit from Erik already. I'm really excited for him to tell his story. And Dana, if you have any other last.
Yeah, I'd love to introduce Erik.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay.
Let's
Hi, everybody. It's really nice to be on here with you. If I haven't met you before, I'm the founder and executive director of Autism Tree. My name's Dana Hoff, and we started the foundation 20 years ago when our son Garrett was diagnosed with autism. And it was very special on the pre-call when Sandy was saying the first time we met. I was so grateful you did that, Sandy, because I forgot that we met at the lacrosse program that we had at San Diego State with Coach Holman. And my son was 8 years old then. And Erik, who's on here today with his beautiful mom, Sandy, was 19. So it's really special to kind of do a quick search of my mind of memories that are there of Autism Tree that you guys were at. And Erik's always been an incredible athlete. And he was there with us at these Maccabi games that they held, which were at the JCC La Jolla. I remember, I feel like you did some stand-up comedy or something and blew my mind. Erik is always blowing my mind.
Yeah.
But I remember that. I was just jaw-dropped, Erik, when you did that. And we also did a grand opening event at the Crate and Barrel at UTC. I am not sure the year right now, but Erik was doing a book signing. He wrote a book. And that was very special, Erik. Oh, there it is. What's the title? I can't see it right now.
Autism for Dads, the Importance of a Father's Love.
Yes. And so Erik did a book signing at that UTC event. I don't know if you guys remember, Sandy and Erik, what year that was. But
2000s,
Yeah.
I think.
maybe
Yeah.
2013 or something. Those are just a few, and then Erik going to Point Loma Nazarene College, and then Erik going to San Diego State. And actually, Erik, I don't know if you remember, one of my favorite events that we did together was at a tech company, and it started with an L, but we got to work with all their employees, or a lot of their employees.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
Barely.
The company was encouraging their employees to give back, and we got to go in and work with their employees. They actually helped us do all these posters for our USD football players so that the kids could hold up these posters with their players. Uh-oh, I lost it. Rebecca, can you tell me how to come back on screen?
I see you.
Everybody.
Okay, I found it. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know what happened for a minute. But anyway, I love it because we used to get these community awareness opportunities. And I think I'm just planting a seed organically by remembering it. We got to work with these employees at a tech company and have them make posters of a player's jersey and leave it, kind of blank, just with the number. So then the kids could play with their player after the game and color it in and just all kinds of stuff. But Erik, one thing I know that you've always been, and your mom, is an absolute, just huge light beam. Always full of love and ideas and goals. Even right now, Erik's telling me how he got injured and he started doing training for the Spartan race, and it's like the amazingest story. Always been like that. And you're an original family, and that just sort of means everything. And what I want to say for some people that might be new on here is that Erik was already asking me or telling me something he wants Autism Tree to do with like obstacle courses. And I said, in 20 years running this foundation, our whole goal has been to make sure we open any door that we can for a family. That's why we do so much and why we feel that it's hard for us to stop when a door opens. We usually go, okay, if this makes sense and it's the right person who can be the right liaison and partner with us, you'll see we do it. And that's why we have over 200 events a year. But our board worked over 2 years to have us make sure everything we do falls under 4 pillars, which is designated embrace a family. That's the first thing we do. Embrace the family, then we connect the family, then we empower the family, and then we help them create the best opportunities that we possibly can as a community, as a culture. That's our culture. So I love sharing this with you today with a lot of passion because Erik and his mom are just living proof that for 20 years, Sandy and Eric, you could say that's what we've been doing together. And every time I interact with you, you keep pushing that, like, we should do this. And it's like, yes, I love that you are pushing us always. So thank you for that. That's my introduction, is that I don't know anyone that kind of pushes as hard as Sandy and Eric have for all the years I've known them. So with huge gratitude to you both for being here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
She almost killed me when I pushed her into shot put last year.
Now, let's not go down that road. It's start, dude.
Okay, you start off with the questions, Mama.
Okay, so Eric, can you share a description of what you were like at 2.5-year-old little boy when you were first showing up with autistic-like behavior?
Well, up till then, I was developing babbling noises and talking like any other infant. But one morning, I was quiet, was not laughing, was not babbling, had no smile. I lost the tongue function, the ability to move my tongue around, to be able to move food in my mouth. I was gagging on food all the time. I lost eye contact, and the babbling noises were replaced by humming noises that didn't really connect with much of anything.
Right.
But how my mom got me to be able to move food around in my mouth and to eat my own food and chew was she would make these questionable animal noises to get me to laugh. And when I would laugh, then I would settle down and start chewing some food.
Yeah.
And I was also very standoffish. I was kind of an introvert because of I had 103.8 degree fever, I believe it was, from chemical floor sealant that was laid into the floor. Glycol ether did a number on all of us, but it did the worst on me because the room that I slept in had a vent that was not closed off. It was not sealed off. And there was a study, there was a paper done about glycol ether, about people exposed to that in some factory, and they got some brain damage. They lost some language skills, some motor skills. It's one of the appendices in my first book, Autism Tree, the importance of a father's love. Now, I was also tactily defensive as a kid, and my mom had a few broken ribs at a grocery store, trying to pull me in and pull me out of a shopping cart because, I was a striker. Didn't mean to hurt anybody, but it just had more strength than I realized, and it was heavier than it looked.
Yep.
Right, Ma?
Right. Do you have any pictures?
Yeah, I'll pull them out later.
Okay.
Because I don't. The screen sharing stuff, I'll probably do some of that at the end.
Okay. So, but by the time you were, well, actually, you had loss of language. So when did you start making approximations of sounds for language?
Well, I want to say 5 or something like that.
No, it's more like age 7. There were
some approximations came at 5, but more vocabulary came around at 7.
there were no programs in those days.
No, that's a fake phone call. Don't worry.
Okay.
Telemarketers are doing the rounds again.
So I was fortunate enough to get to be able to search out who were these really phenomenal teachers at that time. And there was Desmond McNulty, and there was Mary Lou Evans and Mr. May. But by the time you were in the 3rd grade, what were you doing academically?
I was in 3rd grade doing 1st grade work.
Yeah.
And I remember trying to do this rotation program called the Wheel. That's where they would send you to different classrooms to study different things. And it was hard for me because it was hard for me to get into some sort of routine, especially when I was struggling with academic work and I was having to look and see what other students were doing. And there was just not much of a connection. I needed more of a personalized, individualized education, which I got at Excelsior Academy, which had about, on average, 10 to 12 students per classroom and 2 teachers. So it was a 1-to-6 ratio.
So we went through the due process thing and got him into that school where he stayed through high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so how you did catch up, but what services did you need? It was that smaller group, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
Smaller learning environment. And as I also took advantage of in college and in law school, semi-private testing room, or sometimes a room just to myself.
Right.
And the use of a computer, because my handwriting still sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I can
Dysgraphia.
write beautiful cursive, but only if I have the time to do it, because dysgraphia is a real thing for me.
Yes, yes. So, can you tell us how or when you began to believe that you could succeed? What motivated you to get out of your comfort zone?
Having trust between myself and my family members and friends and teachers. Having trust is key to education. Otherwise, education just cannot happen.
That's right. That's right. And some people overlook that feature that you have to have trust. His first teacher said to me, the child doesn't trust me, I can't do anything with them. So that trust piece has to be there
Right.
in the beginning, and then you can begin to make inroads into the child. So where were the transition programs in those days when you were in high school?
And tell them I heard. The transition programs were not anything, any of those sorts of things. And there are now, but not all of them are good. Not all the transition programs are tailored to each person's unique needs. It really depends also on who is providing the services. It's not just necessarily one program being better than the other. It's about who's providing the services. But back in my days of elementary, middle, high school, it just really wasn't much. And the common expectation was that people coming out of non-public schools are going to end up folding laundry at hospital or something. And then as soon as I started going to college, other students started doing it.
When did you start to go to college?
After the sophomore year of high school, I started
Yeah.
taking classes in weight training, Tai Chi, ballroom dance, some of the cool stuff to work on my balance, on my social skills, and also the weight training helped me to move some offensive linemen out of the way so I could get after the quarterback,
Yeah.
scare the crud out of him.
Yeah, that was, let's see. Well, actually, I admit I did not tell the school that at night I was taking him to Grossmont College. I just wanted to see how he would do. I'm an older mom, and I knew I didn't have time for just kind of waiting around anymore to figure out what was going to work. We set up in the office at Grossmont.
A lot of people go to
counselor?
college just to find themselves, but
Yeah.
there's an app for that. There's an app to find yourself. It's called Google Maps.
So we
I like to tell that joke. It's a corny joke.
just got a person that he really could connect with. And he would go in and he told her kind of what his dream was to go to Point Loma Nazarene. And actually he had the grades and the ability, but that's where the comedy stuff started in one of those personal development classes. And he did a skit in there for part of his grade.
I think one of them was George Lopez, and unfortunately, the other skit was Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
He's not in my lineup of comedians I've cited anymore for obvious reasons.
Yeah. So how many comedians were you able to memorize?
At least 14 and several movies, including Farce of the Penguins.
Don't go there. Start him and he'll keep going.
I can recite about 95% of the movie.
How many times do you have to hear something?
Once or twice.
Yeah. So did that help you with academics?
Well, sure. Memorization, that comes into play, and also being able to apply certain things to certain situations. That's especially critical in law school.
And one of the advantages of having that early counselor was that she put together a script of classes that were transferable.
So that other counselors could not screw me over with their own agendas.
Yeah, and you had that list with you, and I'd sit in the hallway and watch and wait, and if he stumbled over his words, I might step in and say, I think what he's trying to say is. But that was our transition plan. And so how many units did you have at the end?
What was it, 23?
Yep. you had 23 units of college credit when you graduated from high school. So he was able to transfer over to Point Loma.
And that was the best dancer in the dance classes.
Oh, yes. So if he finished a class, even because I started taking some classes again while I was with him, and figuring I was going to have to go back to work, and I've been out of the workforce. But if he finished his class, he'd go over to the ballroom dance class and he'd fill in because
As the lead.
yeah, they had never had enough guys, and he could remember all the patterns. So that was pretty fun. Turns out that the teacher had a son with autism, so this was very encouraging to her to be able to see that they could do something like that.
Mhm.
Yep. So when you did transfer to Point Loma, and I was looking for some tuition assistance, you had a lot of scholarships,
Mhm.
but I needed a little bit of extra money, and we went to Department of Rehabilitation. And what happened over there?
They said, oh, we'll give you the last however much money, but you have to let us pick a job for you after a year. And they wanted to make me a border patrol agent.
Okay.
No, but the fact that they even made some sort of offer allowed the regional center to start getting some
Yes.
tuition assistance out of the OR for other students.
Yes. So one of his friends was able to get some tuition assistance to help at Point Loma Nazarene. They do it at the San Diego State University tuition level. Or another friend of the classmate of yours did vocational school to become a vet tech, which she said
Mhm.
her parents could never have afforded that. So that's a real plus. It's still in place. And what happened when you went to law school? What did they pay for?
They paid for the third year of my law school and for, let's see, the bar exam. I
Yeah.
took the bar exam once and passed it on the first try.
Yep.
And that was when it was the more difficult 3-day bar exam. I mean, these other entitled college, these other law school students, they have it easy now. 2-day exam is just nothing compared to what I did. 3-day exam was no joke. But what I did in between the AM and PM sessions was dance Zumba as a way to get the brain parts out.
So we passed over the master's degree. So when you came out of Point Loma, and what was your degree in?
International Development Studies.
Okay. And that includes some economics and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how come you decided to go get a master's?
The economy sucked.
Right. Some of the business school people were having to go out of state, out of country, and that to get jobs. So I thought we probably let her see what San Diego State has to offer. And they did not have a master's in business that was unimpacted. So
I took public administration.
And what did you fill in the electives with?
Homeland Security.
Homeland Security, and I think there was international business.
Yeah.
You were allowed to import from
Point Loma's
yeah.
graduate program to SDSU's.
Yeah.
Credited.
Because they didn't offer that at San Diego State. So that was great. And I thought I was going to be putting him to work in a friend's office in the city council, but then she's no longer a council member, but we walk off the stage because I went back and got a different degree that I wanted. And what did you say to me?
Mom, there's something else I have to do.
What?
Law school.
So that was a ceiling that had not been cracked at Cal Western. And we had some interviews, and I gave one of the deans this book too, Changing Lanes but Staying on Track, that he had written. And they called me a week later and said, we'll try him. So they allowed him to come in, and I paid for the first 2 years, which was tough. And we got to the third year, They didn't think he could do it at Department of Rehab.
Mm.
And then they saw the grades. Well, they came back around and said, you know what, we'll pay for the third year and we'll pay for the exam. And so since then, I know one other person with autism has entered into that arena, but it's tough, you know. I know Garrett's doing it. I know he can.
Mhm.
So you just have to really persevere, right? So, and what made you decide you wanted to go to law school?
I wanted to help others with disabilities through law. That's what I wanted to do, especially when it comes to special education law. And it's been, I would say, quite successful at that, getting some students out of public school system into non-public schools so that they could get their unique needs addressed.
Well, what have you discovered now? There were no assessments for you with auditory processing, dysgraphia, but you know that there are assessments now. So what kind of reaction are you getting when you ask for these kids to?
I don't get nearly as much pushback as most other attorneys would, because they know that I have autism. I've been through the IEP stuff myself as a student, and I know my spot. I know what to do, and I know what it is I'm talking about.
Yep. And actually a couple of the kids had differences in their from one ear to the other in being able to filter out extraneous sounds, right? So that they were able to get that accommodated so that they could, because they were not able to stay at their grade level, doing first grade work in the fifth grade. You know, that's not going to be acceptable down the road. They're just pushing them along, and that's not fair. So tell me, well, you already kind of talked about taking the bar exam and what you did in between.
Yeah, it's also funny. At California Western School of Law, the security guards said that I was the only person who ever came out of a law school test room smiling.
And they'd ask you, what did they ask you with the, I've heard him do that. How was that?
Awesome.
Yeah.
And no, I didn't go to any of those silly drinker mixers that like a lot of other students would.
Yeah,
That wasn't me.
Yeah, there was a fair amount of that. We won't talk about student loans that people what they do with some
Well,
my
favorite beer is Erdinger non-alcoholic wheat beer.
Yeah. And so not only have you done the IEPs, what else with law have you done?
Office of the Administrative Hearing Special Education Advisory Committee. And what I did with that one near the end of my term there was OEH was pushing this policy and having everybody in this committee vote on whether or not to kick the older cases off the calendar. I voted to keep the older cases on so that, because OEH was trying to clear its calendar, and that would have sucked. That was the tie-breaking vote that kept the calendar filled with these older cases so that the students could get their needs met.
And one of them happened to be one of your kids.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to wait anymore. He got to go through. And what else have you done with your what other kind of law?
Landlord tenant, representing tenants against slumlords. I've also done some personal injury, car accident cases, and it's just stuff like that. Mostly piecemeal stuff. I'm really good at document review and legal research and finding stuff that other attorneys are just not so interested in digging for themselves necessarily.
Immigration law?
Well, I do the document prep for that stuff.
Yeah. So how did you get into the fitness mode?
So fitness, are you talking about after my father passed away, or are you talking about business stuff?
It evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got into running because after my father passed away, I needed confidence and role models for my life. And the speed the sensation of speed, the wind in my face felt like the back of a gas motorcycle. I got into longer distance stuff in 2013 with the the Tinkerbell half marathon. That was my first chip time half marathon, and the first marathon came a year later with the Rock and Roll San Diego. And 2021, I got into Spartan racing and also did my first Spartan Trail 50K on the same weekend. I did the Spartan Super on Saturday. That's 10 kilometers and 25 obstacles, and the Spartan Trail 50K a day later. And that one took, I think, about 9 hours, 40 minutes or something on the steep hills of Toro Park.
Yeah.
And earlier this year, I did a Spartan Beast, which was half marathon and 48 obstacles. So much fun.
That's why my hair is white, you know. I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
And last month, I did the steeplechase and I did the
Yep.
400-meter hurdles.
He'd never done them before. And he's, I'm gonna do the steeple. I just, oh, okay, yeah, right.
I won some nice hardware.
Well, okay.
That's what they call them in medals, is hardware.
So, but you've also kind of picked up the mantle for some other kids.
Yeah, my mom and I coached Skybirds cross country. We used to be with Special Olympics, but they kept pushing their lockdown. They kept their chapter lockdown deep into 2020 and 2021, while other chapters were reopening in-person sports and other activities. SOC was staying closed, and so my athletes and I, we left Special Olympics and started doing our own fitness group called Skybirds Cross Country at Troy's Lake.
And whoever shows up. It's just, we're
And
there.
a couple of my athletes have really
Yeah.
really become champions in their own right. Philip, he kicked my butt in the Carlsbad Marathon this year. He ran a 3:10:32. He's 16 and he won his age group.
And he has a Letterman's jacket from
And
his high school, and nobody bullies him
And
anymore.
he's the top runner at his school. Joshua, he does USATF youth track and field with the USA Rockets, and he competed in the USATF regionals in, I believe it was Lancaster.
Yeah, Lancaster.
And now he wants to get into steeplechase racing because he knows I did it.
But both those kids are now in their teens, but they started with
They started with
being on the
us
track team.
in 2017. They started with us.
Yeah. And they got inspired, and you train them up, and they do a little more distance,
And Philip coaches his younger brothers in running.
which is really nice. Yeah, very nice for them. But, so what other, weren't you in a documentary here a while back?
The Employables with Arts and Entertainment. It was done by Optimum USA, I believe that was the group of producers who put this stuff on. They came to in our house and pretty much everywhere with us in 2018. And they were trying hard to get some video footage of me cussing at bad drivers in traffic, but traffic was just really unusually tame that particular week. The most they got out of me as far as mouthiness at bad drivers was when I saw somebody to my right picking his nose behind the steering wheel, and I said, why is he picking his nose while driving? I shared an episode with I forget her name, but each week it was a person with autism and it was a person with Tourette's.
Yeah.
I think they wanted to see some Tourette's cussing out of me.
Was it week 6 or week?
Week 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Week 6. Yeah, that was, but when we had to fly back to Yale University,
Mhm.
right, to go through testing, you had to submit to all of this testing to
8
verify.
hours of cognitive testing, something that a lot of people in Washington, D.C. should be going through because a lot of them don't know what they're doing. Sorry, don't mean to get that political. So they tested me and they said that I am smarter than most neurotypical Yale students.
You would never have guessed that, right? So
Maybe that's another reason why I'm the favorite in your family.
So how did you overcome the fear of failure?
Well, let's see. The fear of failure got started after my father passed away. Our family started disintegrating of sorts, had some family turmoil, but it took some inside counsel and some help with some friends and recognizing that the people and the opportunities that God has put into my life has helped set me up to do something greater than myself.
Okay. Tell me what important thing you learned at Point Loma Nazarene from one of your professors.
The human factor. It consists of 6 dimensions. The first, spiritual capital, the universal principles by which you have to live. Moral capital is the right and wrong based on those principles. Aesthetic capital is the beauty and ugliness of what we create. Human capital is the knowledge and skills we acquire. Human abilities are the competencies, and human potential is undiscovered talent. And that's where we're trying to bring out of people so that they can soar with voices louder than words.
That's right. That's right.
Erik, I really like what you just said. I'm gonna want to have attach that to this this lunch and learn for everybody. Can you Google that, or how do we find what you just said?
You could type it to them.
Yeah, I
know
can
you
type it to
sent-
you guys.
I know you sent them an attachment. Oh, 10 things they want me.
Well, yeah,
I want you to
definitely
know.
attach the 10 things I want people to know about my autism. Definitely do that.
And what is your 10 things? Sarah?
Well, I mean, it's hard to recite them all off the top of my head, but
I'm really smart.
I think
but-
number
Yeah, right.
4 is stupid people and whiners test my patience.
Yeah. So we can.
It's one of my
send-
favorites.
Yes, another one of those. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Erik, what did you see? What were you saying before this? 6 things you learned from a professor about life?
Yeah, the human factor has the 6 dimensions.
6 dimensions. Say again.
Oh, but I think what we should do is we should do some screen shares, showcase some of my athletes. What do you think?
Okay, well, I thought you were going to show them what you look like as a screaming kid.
Well, I'll get to that too.
Who's your favorite comedian, Dana?
Let's see if I
Who's
can-
mine?
Yeah.
Well, I love Vicky Barblack because she's a dear friend to Autism Tree.
Doesn't know. Oh, I
Hold
know.
on. Trying to get to that video, so I just have a phone for it. Okay, here we go. Can I move you see that? No, here we go. Come on now.
Can you see it?
Can you guys see it?
Yeah, we can. It breaks a little, but yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, that's the uncle you're looking at is
Little Joshua.
like when he was a kid in 2017.
Mm. How old is Joshua in this video?
He was 9 in the video, now he's 16. Not at the beginning of the video. It shows him over the years.
Oh,
His mother and his family of them.
really fast.
Aw. I love that photo.
Let's see if I can pull up the man with autism passes bar exam video. Let's see. Can everybody see that?
We
Yeah.
can't hear
Okay.
the video though. There's no sound.
All right. Let's see. Oh, share sound. Okay, here we go.
Today. Not only, Catherine, did he pass the bar, he did it on his first try. And I got to know Erik and his mom, Sandy, while volunteering at Special Olympics, and these two continue to impress and inspire.
That was one of my favorite areas to take classes too.
Erik Weber gives us the tour of the place he's spent a good part of his last 3 years.
Erik, Nikki.
Erik graduated Cal Western Law School last December, and this week he did something every law student has trouble with. He passed the bar exam.
When I first opened it up at 6 p.m. on May 15th, I closed it down and checked it again to make sure I wasn't hallucinating.
It's the first time anybody that I know of with autism has accomplished this. Of course, I see the pictures in my head of the boy that he was.
Sandy remembers the early years of meltdowns and temper tantrums. When Erik was 3, he was diagnosed with autism. Doctors told his parents he'd have to be institutionalized the rest of his life. Sandy refused.
Well, I was supposed to be an art teacher.
But after Erik's diagnosis, Sandy became a full-time caregiver, motivator, and trailblazer. There wasn't a lot of information back then about autism, so she improvised. When she found out Erik learned visually, she'd videotape him as a teaching tool. Since he had trouble understanding behaviors, she took him to the zoo to watch animals interact. And because he had a hard time verbally, she'd coordinate with his teachers and use the same phrases as they did at home. How much do you attribute your success to your mom?
A lot of it, for sure.
Sandy says the thing she appreciates most about her son is his perseverance.
But it's also very rewarding for me to stand back and look at the art project that I created.
So Erik is now practicing special needs law. He's already fighting to get more oversight and better standards for group homes. And because of both Erik and his mother's perseverance, there's a new scholarship for special needs students at Cal Western Law School every year.
Ah, there we go.
Ta-da! So you got to see the screaming kid.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, his scholarly writing, let's see, Home Sweet Home, yeah, got published and sent to Sacramento with 3 legislators. And well, actually those large group warehousing facilities.
The institutions, those are getting closed down, and the individuals and the resources getting shifted to the more community-based settings so that people with disabilities can have more access, more connection to the communities.
And access to their health care and other services that they need. instead of the CEOs making six figures and the money not being, and oversight. They're also are increasing the oversight. So
Mhm.
that's what we've been doing.
Aw.
Questions?
Any
I have a
questions?
memory. I have a memory I want to share with everyone.
Okay.
We've been, and then I'm going to ask you to elaborate on it, but we've been doing the USD football mentor program for 15 years.
Mhm.
And hands down, when I was watching all this, I went, oh my gosh, like I love that program so deeply. And I remember you guys being so involved, and I wasn't there, but it's my favorite story that John Hickey told. Do you remember, Eric, what you did? We had
Oh, are you talking
different,
about when I was doing play-by-play for a boy with
Oh,
autism who also had visual impairment?
he was blind, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what happened is we were on the autism tree, more administrative end, having a family who had a child that was blind and had autism that wanted to go to a football game. And so John Hickey, who runs that program, partnered, on helping this family with Eric and Sandy. And I mean, he tells that story still all the time organically, Eric. And
Aw.
I have to say, it's my favorite story about, anything's possible. When we come together, we can always help a family. And you did that with that little boy who was
Yeah.
blind. It was an incredible, right? I don't want to speak
Yeah.
for you, but I love that story.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh, you learned how to kick a field goal too.
Well, that too.
He had, because he had a couple of, is it Patrick? He had a couple of different,
Patrick was the second one.
yeah, Patrick Doyle, and then you had another fellow that were your,
Yeah, I learned how to
Team
kick a
buddy.
field goal first by punting it and then off of, well, not a tee, but it was a little stand that could stand the ball
35 yards. I
at
think.
least 35 yards
That was
down the middle.
That was
You
exciting.
guys, this is nice for some of the new families. What would you share about this? All happened organically, me bringing it up, but what would you share with people on here about the program that we have with the USD football and baseball players that you experienced?
The one-on-one trust connections between the football players and the people who have autism was really cool. And there were also these Christmas parties where we got to make some, I guess, Christmas trees and some other crafts and play some Madden NFL on the Xbox or something.
Yeah, there were so many things that they were able to do together. And I think we went down in the locker room with all the guys
Oh, yeah.
and the kids and the guys all down
And
in the
listening to
locker
the locker
room.
room
And
banter was pretty
yeah,
fun.
and I think that was just a great opportunity for those kids to feel, to feel part of something that was not normally what they would be part of. And yeah, that was so neat. I loved that program.
Thank you guys. It was nice to hear you talk about the Winter Wonderland, Eric, because I mean, that's like my favorite way to end the Autism Tree every single year. How long, Rebecca, I am blanking right now. What year are we on this year for our Winter Wonderland?
Oh,
Oh,
good.
what?
I don't remember.
Well, you know what? We started it. I know what year we started it. We started the Winter Wonderland in 2008. And it's just,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I love that Eric just organically brought that up. Like,
Yeah.
memories. So that's so sweet. If you
We
got anyone
still-
on here hasn't been, you got to come. It's just amazing.
We use those small trees.
Yeah,
from
we
that
still
as the
have-
Christmas tree.
we
don't
still
put up
have
the
those
big
every
ones.
year. Where he doesn't want the big ones, he just wants his little trees that we made at the Wonderland thing.
That really, you have to
Easy
send me a
setup
picture
and
this
two
year.
trees
Will
that
you
are
guys
growing.
text me it? I think people have some questions for you. Is that okay?
Oh,
Yeah. Somebody has a question regarding schools.
mm.
And I believe that's Diane. So Diane, if you'd like to unmute yourself, or you can type it in the chat and I'll ask Erik.
Sure.
And while Diane, are you there?
Yeah, you can get that.
Yeah, I got that. Let's see.
See if you can find it.
In the meantime, I'll read a few comments that people have been putting in the chat. Jip says, having spent 8 years in special education, from my perspective, the most important task is to teach students to believe in themselves most and foremost, first and foremost.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Self-confidence is key, and trust is the most essential when it comes to education.
I love it. Okay, Diane's having trouble with her mic. So if you want to type your question in the chat, I can read it for you, Diane. And then Karen is also on this call. Karen Wright, who's our director.
Picnics. Isn't that the
Yeah.
Karen Wright from Picnics?
Yes. it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
She says, Eric, we first met at the Wright Family Community Picnic.
Yep.
Nice.
It brings me such joy seeing how God is using you and your many talents. Keep celebrating.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I am a lovable basket of problems.
Well, you've got your bird shirt on today.
Uh-huh.
What do
Some
you?
parrots and toucans. I also speak bird at
Yeah.
places like the San Diego Zoo.
Yep.
And the kookaburras and flamingos, they talk back.
Yep. Sometimes they talk to him first when they see him coming.
Crikey, the kookaburra started the conversation less than a week ago. He started in first, and then I just responded.
So Sandy, you guys, when you go to the zoo, are you just going for your own enjoyment, or are you taking people along with you?
Just ourselves, usually.
We've been with people before. They want to go, we tag in with them, and we have a certain. Well, he has a friend that's a red-tailed black cockatoo.
Carter. He dances Backstreet Boys music.
Yes, he only likes Backstreet Boys music, nobody else's. And so he does his little bobbing up and down and strutting, and so it's different. Not everybody can hack it.
And sometimes that bird lets me pet him.
Go, shh.
Oh my gosh, that would be fun to have Eric be the liaison for us and let our families go to the zoo somehow. I've always wanted to have our families be able to go to the zoo, Eric. I want you to know that, and Sandy. And I think you'd be the perfect liaison.
Well, let's see, East African crown crane,
Let's see.
flamingo.
Oh,
That's awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, we know some of the animals by name, and so he'll walk up to the flamingos and Jimmy, where are you? And Jimmy gets up, he comes over to the.
I love that. We have other questions. Somebody asked, Eric, do you remember how you worked on social skills?
Dancing.
Well, dancing was one. Let's see. So I can't say Urban Dictionary. That's a little inappropriate for this audience. But so let's see. There was dancing. There was also using comedy as an icebreaker.
Yeah.
I did a talent show in my first year of law school, and that's how a lot of law school students came to, not be so annoyed by the fact that I was getting tested, but by testing accommodations, they figured out that I'm smart, and they all of a sudden wanted me as a study buddy because I knew the answers and I knew how to find stuff.
Yeah, they automatically think that if you're getting accommodations that it's giving you a leg up. It isn't. It's
it helps you to showcase what you're capable of.
On the bar exam, you have a fill-in, well, they used to, multiple guess.
That's Scantron, Mom. Scantron.
And he was allowed to circle the answer instead of bubbling in the circle because his hand pressure was so light that if he
it was hard to tell between what I was marking and what I was erasing.
And so we got permission for him to circle the answer. So it had to be hand scored. But, and then typing, he was allowed to use a special program to type his answers instead of handwrite the answers. He didn't have to pay for that. Usually students had to pay for that. But they kind of initially resented the fact that he gets accommodations, he gets a quiet room and 2 people in a room until he did the comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And he made fun of some teachers and stuff, and everybody's cracking up. And then Oh, yeah, let's have a study group with him.
I love it. Another question, Mary asked, in your opinion, what's the best way for teachers to build trust with their students, or for counselors and others to build trust with those they work with?
Figure out what the student is into or how the student learns and connect there, and then expand out from there.
Yeah,
Mhm. That's
come
great.
alongside and what are they interested in? What captures their interest? And then you engage with them in that, ask them their questions, and then, well, find similarities with other things. And then you can bring it. That's how I had to do that with him. He'd freak out if we were going down the freeway and we weren't going where he thought we were supposed to go. So what was my common denominator?
Star flags and bear flags.
Yeah. So I
'Cause
had,
those used to be on every single
they're on
building.
every, oh, star flag. Erik, look, star flag. And he'd calm down and he'd see the star flag, whether it was the doctor's office or whatever it was, going through Mission Valley, there was always star flag, bear flag. So I could use that in any location, that common denominator, to build a more calm response out of him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, love that.
It just takes that's probably the observation part of my art degree. If you're drawing a tree or whatever, you have to really observe which way the branches are going and then try to translate it onto paper. So when we did the virtual things during the pandemic, and Philip doesn't like to talk, but one of the girls, San Diego State student in the special needs class, went out and studied up on Minecraft. So when they got in the room, then she could ask questions about Minecraft, and he just exploded with conversation.
That seems to be a common popular game.
Yes.
That reminds me.
Uh-oh.
I played at Dave and Buster's with one of my other Skybird athletes. He loves some of those things like Minecraft, and there's also I guess virtual roller coaster thing he likes to go on, and he had me sit on that with him a few times. But I smoked him in air hockey and in basketball, but he took care of me and some of the other digital stuff.
And he didn't flip out because he didn't win, and that was a first for him. So, but he trusts Erik, and he knows that Erik got him into non-public school, and he's now doing, instead of first grade work in the 5th grade, he's doing 4th grade work.
In
just, yeah,
6 or 7.
but in just a few months, he's catching up and doing well and confident in himself.
Hello, doorbell.
Before everybody else goes, a few people had to log off because.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I would love to take a group picture with everybody remaining. If you'd like to be a part of our group picture, please, you can show your camera. That would be awesome. And then we'll get to the one more question if it's okay for everybody.
Yeah,
else.
we're fine.
Okay. Ready? Big smiles. Stop the camera. 3, 2, 1, cheese.
Okay.
Love it. And then
Okay.
I want to
I
give.
do have one more camera or one question. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
And
Okay. I have had difficulty in finding teachers or schools who actually try to tap into the genius of my son, because he's an extremely intelligent kid and musically gifted out of this world. But I can't seem to find a place where they pull that out of him. Now I've enrolled him in music classes. Now he does that, but he plays a bunch of different instruments, and academically, he's been reading since the age of 2 and doing addition and subtraction since 4. But it seems as though it's dissipating because I don't have enough time to spend with him. So I'm just kind of lost.
So, so does your school have anything like abilities awareness, where the people with disabilities come in and present to schools and classmates and teachers and all of that? Anything like that?
No, he goes to Chula Vista High School. And the reason why I chose that school is because they had a performing arts program. So I felt that would be good for him. But they, after only like a couple of days, they felt like he probably shouldn't be in the class because like one of the classes, they were doing stage production and he climbed up the ladder. But I mean, to me, that's just something that was him being a little bit curious.
Yeah.
Right.
And, yeah.
I did that sort of thing in college. I took some, I forget the name of the instructor, but he took us into some, I guess, the back state.
Oh, yeah.
It was connected to the theater that was at Grossmont
Yeah.
College. He took us on a tour of the magic that happens in the back room to make what shows up on the screen happen. And I was climbing around on the ladder. That's something that I don't want to say typically that's the wrong word, but it's something that a lot of us do. We explore things.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I didn't think that was so, out of the ordinary for a kid to do and just be curious. But it seems like a lot.
Does he have does he have a one-on-one aid or anything like that?
No, I had him in regular mainline classes, like I said, for the first few days, maybe a couple of weeks. And then he went into classes where there are other autistic children.
Right.
And the curriculum is
Dumbed down.
nothing for him. It's boring for him. They tell me about all the things that he could do, but yet he's still there. Yeah, it's not. It's not. Even when he was in elementary school, like you were saying, he was in the 5th grade, but they were giving him first grade work. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is why he's looking out the window, because he's not being challenged.
Boredom. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of at my wit's end. I was thinking of maybe taking him to St. Francis. I've heard some people have had some good experiences with their kids going there, or maybe Waldorf schools.
Oh,
I just don't know.
well, Philip.
Yes, you can shoot us an email address if you want us to look at that IEP stuff. I can do that.
He does document review.
Okay.
So look at the IEPs, but we have another kiddo like that, and he's brilliant in some areas, but he also has ADHD with his autism. So he's just looking around and doing different things, and he needs kind of a one-on-one buddy type person. He sits quiet next to Erik. So I said, you may have to
Yeah, my mom has joked, and it's kind of half joke that I'm gonna need to sit next to a meat for a week or so.
when he gets in his new setting, because it's a new school, they have those issues, and so he might need a one-on-one aid for a bit of time. Say, hey, no, we're not going to do that, to kind of get him grooved in. And then his cousin also has autism, this boy's cousin, and he's already taking online college classes.
Okay.
That of things that are his special interest, but they challenge him, and he does that through home. But he's a sophomore in high school.
I think
He's sophomore.
No, he's junior. He's junior. He's gonna do senior next school
Okay,
year.
well, but he's been taking online classes for about a year. See, that's when with Erik, I had him doing that at the end of his sophomore year. And because Grossmont had a program called Middle College, and I could take him there and put him into some things that would help him with different skills. And then he took his foreign language there. He took health ed he was taking during the day class. In high school, it's no longer required for graduation. He took world history, which was required by Point Loma Nazarene. So I found out what do I need at Point Loma Nazarene if he's going to go there. And then I had him take those while he was in high school, and it challenged him.
Yeah. Well, at Chula Vista High School, the children that are in the special learning classes, they have severe and then they have moderate. But these children, they
That's
don't.
too much.
They said they're not going to graduate. Their grades don't matter, and
Yeah.
I'm not happy with that.
That's no,
So
no.
I do
and
want to get back into regular classes.
That's why I did what I did, because mod severe and there's too much other going on.
Yeah,
And like you said, and he needs to be challenged. He doesn't need to be put into that situation.
right. Well, their plans for him after high school is just to go into some skilled labor program or something,
Well,
like college is an option.
oh,
And-
like folding towels. That was what they.
Right.
Obviously, he was capable of more than that, and
Right.
and that's why I felt like, so whatever is his favorite subject, maybe have him take a summer school class, online or something, and a college thing, and see if he can handle it. Just one.
Yeah, just one at a time.
Just one.
Start off with one, maybe increase it to two.
Yeah, because when he got to Point Loma, the dean said, "Okay, how fast do you want to get out of here? Because how many units can you handle?" Sometimes he took 17 a semester. Sometimes was it
Wow.
18 was in the last
18
semester.
was,
I took
yeah.
18 units.
And he said, because they'll nickel and dime you till you get out of here. So I said, well, I'll try it,
Yeah.
And he was able to do it. And he came out with a good GPA, which surprised everybody.
Going to the basketball games is fun. It's much more fun to watch than the NBA.
Yeah.
NBA, you got a lot of crybabies who flop and they pretend to.
Eric and Sandy, I
Yeah,
want
they
to tell you,
gotta-
at the High Point today, I think we had 18 people,
Wow.
and that's one of our biggest lunch and learns. And we try to stay on time, so we're about almost 15 minutes over, and we still got 7 people here. So I wanted to say thank you guys so much, and for everyone who stayed on. And it's a total blessing listening to you guys today. So thank you.
Absolutely.
We're gonna say
life
bye.
after high school.
Yes.
And it's
That's
not
very,
folding
very
towels.
encouraging. Yeah, it's very encouraging.
And I'll include Sandy and Eric's contact information
Yeah.
in the chat.
Okay.
So if anybody else wanted to, since this is being recorded right now, if anybody else wanted to reach out, they can.
It's our pleasure